Brought to you in association with Grendel Press. This is Werewolf the Podcast, a serial killer drama.
Babe, don't try to call.
Hello, this is Will Your Werewolf, and this is Werewolf the Podcast. This is episode 82. Down in the description there are loads of links to loads of things. Go and follow some links and join the Facebook group. Why not? Will be fun. I promise. Today I'm talking about how werewolves are the next evolutionary step into being the Superman, or as Freddie called it, the Übermensch. Friedrich Wilhelm Nietzsche was a great thinker. I mean, he was a little bit broken mentally in the latter part of his life, but he was a great thinker. He did have a bit of a breakdown where he felt sorry for a horse on the street, or the man who beat the horse, or he understood why. I don't know. But anyway, he kind of lost it at the end. Also, ignore all that other bullshit you might hear, you know, that he was a Nazi and stuff. He died in 1900, so he died well before the Nazis started anything. They did twist his words though, as many people twist the words of the good books like the Bible and the Quran to suit their needs. He was actually a child in Bismarck's Reich, and because of that there was three things Nietzsche hated: the big state, nationalism, and anti-Semitism. Some of his unheard quotes are: Deutschland, Deutschland über alles, that is the end of German philosophy. And he also wrote, I will have all anti-Semites shot. Not a particular Nazi then. His sister, on the other hand, was in complete contrast in her thoughts. She married a famous anti-Semite, a wedding our Freddie refused to attend because he thought the guy's politics was wrong. After the couple were married, they then went off to South America to found a proper Aryan colony. Sadly, Nietzsche's health failed when the colony failed as well, so she returned and managed to look after the now infantile man. She created Nietzsche's archive of work, and she bent his work towards her own viewpoints. She twisted this great man's ideas. Now, I'm not excusing Nietzsche of anything. He did think some people were better than others. Yet, don't get me wrong, Fred, as I like to call him, talked about the superiority of some over others, but it wasn't related to anything like race, sex, or even gender. It was just the fact that some people are better than others. They are. Usain Bolt is a faster runner than you. He is. Andy Murray would more than likely kick your ass at tennis. Mike Tyson would. You get the idea. Some humans are better at things than other humans. You might be a better cook than Mike Tyson, so you are essentially better than Mike Tyson within a precisely defined set of parameters. Sorry, I think he meant that a person could become a better person in themselves, did our Freddie. He talked about the Übermensch, the ability of a person to rise above what they are and become the superior being they should be. He thunked that a person with a great soul needs to explore the higher self and accept that they are better than all others and live outside the norms. I wish he could have met me. I embody his thoughts on this in totality. I have complete control over my animal side, which he taught us to explore. Well, almost complete control. Fen may disagree. Fen can be in or outside me. We can work together or separately in this world. I am the Übermensch. No, seriously, I am. Let me explain it to you in a oversimplified and very patronising manner. Morals and ethics hold back people from achieving what they truly want. Let's jump deeper into this tropey shite. Things happen by will or by nature, and they are things that just happen. How we judge them makes them either good or evil or just neutral or somewhere on that scale between the two. We can assign things that happen as good or evil. Again, a slightly interesting factoid here. If we look at what was good and evil in Greek times, it was a different way of looking at good and evil. Good meant of benefit. Evil meant not of benefit. A very different way of looking at the concepts of good and evil than present day. However, Greeks did believe in a meritocracy and not in any of this equality thing that we're supposed to believe in these days. Here is an example of the good and evil shit that we believe in now, and how it just depends on our judgment as to whether an action is good or evil. The rock rolls down the hill and bounces, hitting the head of a small boy playing in the garden of his home near Linz in Austria. The rock sadly kills the boy. Pretty sad, eh? Please wait for it. The cliched situation has not been fully realised yet. No tears should be shed. Oh, and the cleverest of you have probably worked out who this little man is already. Well, I've already talked about the Nazis, so this may allow you to conclude who the young boy will be. His mother, Clara, discovers the dying young boy and holds him in her arms, crying and shaking at the loss of her child. Alwa, his father, is sent for and is given the bad news that his son is dead. Yep, this is the little Führer, Hitler, Adolf Sodding Hitler. Now, the death of a child by a rock hitting him in the head was probably seen as a bad thing to happen before the realisation that this little cunt was Hitler himself. But was it? Because the rock nailed Hitler in the head. It killed the monster that would send millions to their deaths and create a society based on his fascist edict. So was the stone rolling good or evil? You have to decide on that by taking the value judgments of good and evil which are dominant in your society and in such transpose it in your head at this moment in time. Okay. You may be able to argue that Hitler was only a tiny part of the breakout of fascism in Germany, that someone else would have filled the number one nasty man spot of German fascism. But we can see how one part of the process could have been taken out just by a little rolling stone. When I think of young Adolf, I feel it's a real shame that no one liked his paintings. That probably would have stopped his silliness early on. He really liked painting. I mean, he was actually really good at doing little dogs. I know, I've seen some of his work and he was okay. I wish someone would have told him so. He may then have never become the bitter bastard that he did for a few million of you people. Some people take personal criticism so hard. The Stoics looked at things that happen and tried not to assign them good or evil. They were the Greeks though, so I find this a little confusing having looked at their own definition of good and evil. See, semantics are a headfuck. It is we who label things good or evil. The wolf hunts his prey. He feeds on the pickle baby deer, dragging it from its mother's womb and ripping it to shreds alive. Oh, how utterly awful and obviously fucking evil. I can feel a million vegans shudder in response to this totally natural happening. Not that a vegan would listen to Werewolf the Podcast. Maybe they do. Please tell me if you are a vegan. I can hopefully find you. I'm only kidding. It's your choice not to harm animals. I couldn't really give a fuck what you eat, but at this point, I have to remind you that meat is delicious. This must almost be the ultimate vegan horror show. I mean, this podcast. No, actually, I do hate vegans, but that is for reasons other than the fact that they fight their omnivorous reality. I hate them because they exist. Maybe that should be my next move in life, move from my carnivore diet to a veganivore diet. Fuck, I get sidetracked. I do apologise. Let's get back to the death of the baby deer. I mean, the ripping apart of the Bambi might be seen as evil. Well, it should seem a bad thing. But what about the pups of the wolf that are back in the den? The wee puppies? If they don't get food, then they don't live. So if the deer doesn't die, then the wolf's pups do. Is the death of the puppies an evil thing? Or is the death of the deer an evil thing? Or are both of these things evil things? I mean, the deer baby's death and the wolf puppy's death may both be evil things. But then one evil thing cannot happen without the other evil thing happening. Oh my God! This philosophical conundrum is such a headfuck. Another awful outcome of the deer not being killed may be that the deer population is not preyed upon sufficiently, so the number of deer explodes. They strip the locality of food. The deer now starve to death in large numbers. So is the end of the baby deer a good or bad thing? I suppose it depends on your viewpoint. It's very confusing though. It's times like this that I allow myself to get a little bit drunk, not to get overly concerned with what the fuck is going on. So are the things I do evil or good? Oh, and much more importantly, do I give a fuck about whether they are or not? Well, in my eyes as a werewolf, they are neither. They happen, but it can be argued in each case whether or not the outcome was good or evil. Not that I truly give a rat's arse anyways. I wonder where that saying comes from, rat's arse. I am the higher being that Nietzsche talks about as the Übermensch. I am a higher being. Morals and ethics that rule human lives are beneath my understanding. I do not need to understand them. I am all about overcoming the morals we see in ordinary people's lives. They are a poison that sits inside us all, waiting to cow us and stop us from attaining our true selves. Who needs them? What if a regressive trait lurked in the good man? Likewise, a danger, an enticement, a poison, a narcotic, so that the present is lived at the expense of the future. Perhaps in more comfort and less danger, but also in a smaller-minded, meaner manner, so that morality itself was to blame if a man never attained the highest power and the splendour possible for the typical man. So that morality itself is the danger of dangers. That's a Freddy quote right there. The society of the day creates morals to constrict us. We need to be able to exceed the boundaries of the values that we are given. I can overcome these values by seeking the ultimate goal, which is gaining power. Everyone lies to themselves about the main thing they want in life. They all want happiness. I want to be happy. Yep, fucking happiness is what people are taught they want, but it's not. You want to be powerful. Fred realised this. We're not happy accepting that though. Happy again. We're not trying to be happy. We're not trying to find the truth in life or meaning. We are trying to develop power over others and ourselves. At a fundamental level, you need control over other things in order to exist. Your digestive system has to have enough power to break down food into nutrients. We need to be more powerful than other things at many levels. Let's look at the truth. Our societal laid out values set us back to the beings with little power. We must step beyond those values to take the next step in your human evolution. Look at the values we live by now in the Western world. They find their basis in the Christian religion, a religion based on the culture of enslaved people. That's where we see the modern origin of our values born. This is a pathetic set of values that you decided to live by, or you just accept. Thank something that God is dead, as he has held us all back from being more powerful individuals. There again, maybe God is not dead. Maybe he's just a dickhead that we should all blame for all the shit that is happening. We've seen other religions and cultures with values based not on slavery but on betterment. The Greeks had a master morality based on excellence. Excellence equaled goodness. You had many capabilities that would allow you to move towards the pursuit of the will to power. To seek the best you could be in this world was considered morally ideal. After this, Christianity happened and gave us an anti-natural morality, giving us morals that turn against the instincts of life and stop us from making of a success of it in the now. For the promise of betterment in the future, we would gain paradise. Jesus Christ, God bless him, did the dirty on humans and taught them that being weak was the way to get into the next life where you would get your reward. The meek shall inherit the earth. What fucking bollocks. Tell that to the rich folk. Christianity is a religion for those who cannot achieve anything because of their position in the pecking order of life. It only became so popular because there are so many losers out there and not many winners. Look at the moral code. They resented the power that the masters had and wanted to make their masters' success a bad thing. They made themselves superior to others by not acting on their desires. They made it morally inferior to do what you wanted without regret. The Christian worldview is all about subservience. You obey the Lord and your betters without question, even if they abuse and use you. The more they do so, the more they hurt you, and the more you ignore it and live to allow them to do so, the more likely you are to go to heaven. Utter bollocks, what a con. You become a member of a flock, looked over and held in captivity like the sheep of the field. They even say the Lord is our shepherd. What's that shit all about? I will never be a sheep, singular. I will be the predator of those that are weak in this world to better myself now, not for the false promise of a happy future in some made-up afterlife. Every commandment is a negative too. Thou shalt not do this. Thou shalt not do that. So negative. It's all about stopping people from following their base desires and keeping them trapped in their inaction. The virtues we are taught are ways in which people can hide their failings. Their humbleness disguises the fact that they have nothing of which to be proud. I don't have to try and achieve anything because I am humble. Your chastity disguises the fact you don't get the chance to have sex. We are all programmed with the drive to have sex and fulfill our sexual desires, but if that is not something we can do because we're weak or unattractive for whatever reason, we can be virtuous very easily. To be poor is a good thing. No, it's not. You are poor and you can't do anything about it, which means you're virtuous in your failure. It's a religion based on being a loser. Our modern morals are based on being a loser. We need to go beyond them like me. Accept that I am a god, so these morals do not apply. Anyway, sorry about that. My rant's done. Maybe werewolves are the next step in evolution. Maybe we are going to be the Superman, the Übermensch, the Super Wolf. Marvel, here I come. Thanks for listening, and I promise we'll get back to the unwarranted physical violence in our next up-and-coming podcasts. Thanks for listening. Love you very much. Bye.
Brought to you in association with Grendel Press. This is Werewolf the Podcast, a serial killer drama.